All right, I appreciate it. So one of the things that I was asking before you sat down is, how many of you post at least once a day? It's not surprised. So this is kind of the reason this class started. How many of you know Bill Price?
You've heard of him.
Okay, Bill, have you heard of Rich Tomasini?
Yes.
Okay, so Rich and Bill got a group of agents started. They came to me and said, look, your background is in social media, and what we'd like to do is we'd like to start lunch and learns. So we started a lunch and learn program. I put together all the presentations for it that we've used anywhere in the Southeast. So Bill and Rich's group, I became the first member of that group. And what we saw at those lunch and learns was most realtors don't use social media, and they kind of don't even know what to do. Especially, there's kind of a benchmark at around age 40. It seems those under 40 are usually a little bit more technology proficient, and those that happen to be over 40, they have a little bigger learning curve.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that if you're under 40 that you suddenly know it. So that we basically said, how do we create an environment where we can show realtors how to use social media? Because the truth is, we all want to be successful. And real estate is about having as many tricks in your bag as that you can, so you can be, you're successful anyway. So if we can add social media to it, we're going to make you even more successful. So these classes are done to make sure you have all the tools that you could possibly want. So really what we're going to cover today is kind of why do we need social media? I kind of went to it, but we'll go through it in more detail. I also want to cover the metrics, because I want you to be absolutely convinced that social media is important and why it's important. And then kind of go, if we're going to use social media, come on over. Please have a seat.
Is it best to bring our computer
Yes.
in or not?
Yes, please. Absolutely.
We should.
We're going to lead gen campaigns at the end. I'm going to walk you through it. So
Okay.
you leave here with new leads.
Is there anyone sitting beside you?
No,
No, come on in.
over.
Oh, me.
Please. So we also, if we're going to post on social media, what are we going to get out of it? What is the goal for posting? We want to talk about the specifics. In this class, when do we post? How often do we post? And these little things matter. Independently, things aren't huge, but as a composite of all these little tools, we're going to make you extremely proficient in social media. I'm going to give you the do's and don'ts, the things we want you to do and the things we don't want you to do. We're going to cover the difference between personal and business pages. How many of you have only a personal page? How many of you have both personal and business? Outstanding. I'd love to ask you what the difference is between the two, what the benefits are, but we'll get to that in a minute. And then the last thing we're going to cover is lead gen. We want you to generate leads because social media is the easiest way to get leads. Now, just like Zillow, how many of you pay for Zillow? Hopefully we can get you out of that business and get you completely dependent on free social media, or when I say free, boost posts at 10, 20 bucks and have huge savings versus the Zillows or Realtors.com. Does that make sense? Great. Okay. Hello. How are you?
Good.
So let's get started first of all. Why is social media important? And I know this is kind of the elephant in the room. It is the biggest billboard in the world that's free. The question really is, why wouldn't you use social media? And as I had said when we first started, there are so many agents that aren't using it, or those who use it don't use it and leverage it to its maximum. We want to make sure we correct all those things as quickly as we can. We want to make sure that you realize that adults, and the key thing here when we talk about adults, in America, the group of people that buy and sell homes are adults. So if we're going to use social media, we want to use it at the place that's going to affect more buyers and sellers of homes. So that's why 80% of American adults get their information at least once a day from social media. So if you're not there, look at the universe of people you're not touching. So we want to make sure that you do. We also realize that social media has now become a huge part of people's way of looking at homes, looking at realtors, choosing their realtor, choosing their home. So if you're not there with them, you're missing out. And lastly, don't kid yourself, but other agents, shockingly, are using social media. And if you're not, and they are, they're getting your business. So we want to put an end to that. We want you to capture more of that business. And in this class, hopefully, when you walk away from here, you'll feel extremely confident in your ability to compete with anyone in the social media landscape. That, more than anything, I want you to be totally convinced of. So let's get into a little bit more detail. Big picture. Most Americans, they're on 3 platforms. I'm not going to ask you which of those they are, but you know who they are. And when you look at the age bracket, this goes back to agents who are under 40. You'll notice that from 18 to 29, they use 4 platforms. From 30 to 49, they use 3, a little less proficient. When you get to 50 to 64, they're at 2. And if I were to take this one more, over 65, it's 1 platform. The technology knowledge of people as they age currently diminishes dramatically. The one common denominator across all of these is which platform? It's Facebook. And then it striates when you get to the different groups as to who uses what. So we want to go where the majority of people are. So where is the American adult today? The vast majority, when you look at this, YouTube and Facebook comprises basically 7 out of 10 American adults are on Facebook and YouTube. And when you look at what's next, look at the drop-off. Instagram is less than half, and that's the next closest. And then you put these all in together, basically between 25 and 35%. These are grouped. But the dominant players in the market are Facebook and YouTube. YouTube is predominantly what kind of content? Video. Facebook added video a couple of years ago. I used to work in the social media realm, and I'll get into that in a minute, but Facebook brought on video to compete with YouTube, and they juice video content. We'll get into what juicing is. They also juice the marketplace. How many of you are familiar with Facebook's marketplace? Oh, this is a good class. The whole goal is if we're going to be on social media and we want to go where people are, where are people today? They are on YouTube and they're on Facebook. They're on YouTube because of video, but we want to be able to leverage Facebook's video juicing to make sure you're more successful with anything that you're promoting on social media. So more than anything, I want you to understand there's a clear-cut difference between Facebook and YouTube today and all of the others. 5 years from now, Instagram is going to jump. Pinterest is so heavily dominated by women that until the men catch up to that, it's still going to be a laggard. It's great for women and used not as big in real estate, but it's gaining a lot of traction. Questions on this? Great. Okay, so what are we going to try to accomplish? We talked real quickly about the data points and why it's important. So here are our goals. First and foremost, everything you do on social media has a cause. You want to deliver valuable, informative, and positive content because people want to be educated. You need to be positioned as a thought leader. You're not just a realtor anymore. They want you to know everything there is about buying and selling homes, the problems they're going to face, and you're going to convey that knowledge through social media. And it's going to be real easy to do. You probably don't think so as you sit there, but it really is. You want to drive engagement. You want people who are following you to begin talking about the things that you are discussing or presenting on social media. Engagement is what makes other people intrigued by your content. If you have a post that has no comments or likes or shares, there is an immediate thought that that content isn't very good. But if you have content that has lots of likes, shares, and comments, people want to know more about it and they'll click on it and read it. You'll drive your own engagement by having successful content. We also want to make sure that you retain your current customers. I don't know how long you have been an agent or agents, but if you've been an agent more than 3 years, I think you'd be hard-pressed to remember each of your customers that you had 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. So what we want to do is we want to use social media specifically to retain those customers. So I implore you to make sure that you like and follow any and every one of your customers, and also those that you work with but weren't customers, because you need to keep in touch with them and you need to follow what it is that they're doing so you can be part of their life. Because the truth is, 5 years from now, does anybody know the average time a person spends in a home?
5 to 7.
7 years, 5 to 7 years. So the whole thing is that if you're not keeping in touch with them, when it comes time for them to buy or sell their next home, they may have forgotten about you. And it gives another realtor a chance to jump in and get that business. Excuse me. So it's important that you're out there so that you can remain in contact with your clients, because it's just too hard to stay in touch with them every day. So let social media be the avenue to retain them. You stay in touch with them, you stay in front of them, they're more likely to remember and use you again. The other thing is you want to gain the trust of potential clients. If you're talking about the pain points that a prospective buyer or seller either has or has had, you suddenly let them know that you know what they would be going through. And the more you can be relatable to someone, the more likely they're going to work with you. And the truth is that everybody is using this type of environment with social media, so you have to keep up with it as well. And it allows you to build relationships. And I say build relationships because in many cases, you could publish something about putting a pool in your yard. And you happen to, that may be something that they're looking at or considering, and they're going to reach out to you. You know a contractor, you know a pool. You want to have as many kinds of content posted to social media, both on the buyer, seller, and homeowner side, so that eventually you'll touch a hot point for a prospective buyer or seller. Does that make sense? And you'd love them to reach out to you and say, hey, you posted this. Can I ask you a question? There's no better thing that can happen than just basic content that captures someone's attention so they reach out to you. The other thing is we want to use social media, obviously, to sell houses. And right now, most of you are not using social media for it. When I asked before, maybe some others did. Do you do any boosting?
For a company, it's a separate company that we own, but I haven't really tried it for my real estate.
Oh, no problem. Do you use any boosting? Good. And how successful is it?
I don't know if I've gotten a lot of direct feedback from it, but I know it's reached a lot more people by doing it.
Outstanding. And the more you do it, the more successful. We'll go over that. You have your computer, so that's good. Okay, and then when we think about the goals of posting, obviously we want to try to have the content that generates engagement. But what is the type of content that we want to post? This is really important. It seems basic, but it's missed all the time. First thing is buyers' content. We want to get buyers, so we have to provide content that relates to the buyers. What are the needs and concerns of buyers? We'll go into detail about what that is. We want to have content that's good for sellers. It makes perfect sense. That's who makes our world revolve, buyers and sellers. And we also need homeowners because they are tomorrow's sellers. So if your world revolves around just buyer content, seller content, homeowner, we'll go into specific details of what each of those entail. You're going to put yourself in a position to become a thought leader for anyone in real estate. And that's what you want to be. You want to build your own community of content that makes you invaluable to a prospective real estate buyer or seller. That's the goal. And then the other type of content that you want to put in there is entertaining and fun content. And I say this because if any of you have gone on a listing presentation, if any of you have met with a prospective buyer, you're not going to just simply sit there, stand there, and talk about real estate. You're going to ask them about their family. You're going to joke with them. You should have social media mirror a true relationship. And that comprises not just business talk, but it comprises things outside of that which is fun and makes you laugh and feel good. And if you can make your prospective clients feel the same way, much greater likelihood they're going to work with you. Any questions on that? Great. So let's start with buyers. Does anybody know what MOFU means? There's tofu, mofu, and bofu. In the sales funnel, you have the top of the funnel. That's simply trying to get people to know who you are. Middle of the funnel is when you've identified a specific group. Bottom of the funnel is you're now trying to close it. So in the sales cycle, top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. This is in the middle. What is the content that buyers need to know? What do you need to tell them? And this is just a small spectrum of content. And this by itself is a huge amount of content, even though this only represents probably 40% of what buyers need. So if you just go through this list and you post one thing or two things a week from this entire list, something on choosing an area, something on mortgage rates or price trends. They need to know what prices are so they can buy. If you do that, you'll present great content for buyers. Questions on buyer content? There's more than this, but again, this gives you a great starting point. Obviously, you want the agent selection to be part of that because you want to teach them about what they need to know. And it should be content that helps bring out the best points in you. So find content, and we can go into where you can find content about that easily. We talked about buyers, sellers is also middle of the funnel. What are the things that sellers need to know? Staging their home. How do we prepare their home? What are the pricing trends? How do we get them to price their house accurately? CMAs, etc. You know, what about just general marketing of their house? Negotiating the sale, the offers that come in. How do we do that? They need to become familiar. They're going to have to move. If they're selling a house, what tools can we give them to allay their fears about moving? They've got invaluable furniture and stuff they want to move. Content on agent selection again. We also want to talk about the lovely and always desired repair requests that come in. Because we know that that's the highlight of our day when all of our buyers want to change everything in the house. We're also going to get in a chance where there's multiple offers. How do we address that? The more you can educate a prospective seller, the less you have to hold their hands during the process. You want them knowledgeable, but don't make them think that they know everything because then they want to tell you what to do. And that's always enjoyable. And then the last thing is open houses. There's so many things that we have to tell sellers about that's out there that are just basically your beck and call. So this again, this is a snapshot of content. And when you look at the stuff we just talked about with buyers, you look at the content we talked about with sellers, you've got a multitude of information to put out there in the social media, but it's not done. Now we have the basic homeowners. So now when we look at homeowners, what are the things that everybody who owns a home today is dealing with? And the truth of the matter is that all of us who have a house or a townhouse or whatever it is, maintenance alone, there's always something to be done in your house. Whether you want to address it today or next year, there's something to be done. It's, again, between homeowners, buyers, and sellers. Hopefully you recognize that you've now got a starting point of content that can allow you to have something in your social feeds multiple times a day. Questions on this so far? Great. But also we want to make sure that we have fun. We want people that, we actually want to create content that people look forward to what we put out so that they come back again and again. That's the key. So what kind of fun stuff? First off, we want videos. Videos can be professional, they can be fun, they can be silly. Just make sure they're not unprofessional. There are certain topics we all know that we don't want to talk about on social media because whether it's what you feel or not, you can alienate portions of the social media landscape. But videos are what is juiced by everybody. You're going to get more reach and more engagement on every video versus when we look at the spectrum of posts, you have a text post, it's just words. You have a link post, words with a link. You have an image, words linked with an image, and then you have video. Video is going to get the most reach and engagement. The pipe on Facebook is expanded to deliver that content into more feeds than a image post, than a link post, than a text post. And it's really important to understand how Facebook in particular works. So that if I can ask you, how many followers do you have on your personal page?
500.
500. So you post something today. How many of those 500 will see that? They're your friends,
Right.
they're your followers. How many are going to see it?
You'd hope all of them.
No, you get about 50 of them are going to see it.
Okay.
About 10%. If you're lucky, you're going to get 15%.
Okay.
So why that's important is that Facebook tests your content. And you are basically validating for Facebook the quality of your content with each successive post. And what that looks like is they send it out to 10 to 15% of your followers, which means about 90% of your followers will not see your post. I know that's a shock to everybody. That's just the sad truth. 90% in most cases will not see your content.
How do they determine that? Is it the people you engage with most?
You're ahead of me one step.
Okay, sorry.
So why is it done that way? Facebook is in the business of doing two things. Giving you content that you want. They don't want you putting content in that you don't like because you don't come back to Facebook. And generating money. Got to generate money to keep the business afloat. They do that So when they put out a post, it's called a delivery. Facebook will deliver it, let's say 15%. You have 500 people, 75 are going to see that. 325, 425 will not see it. Facebook is testing the velocity of engagement, how quickly you're getting likes, shares, comments. That velocity of engagement is telling them if it's good content. Because if anyone in your universe is going to like your content, who would it be? It'd already be your followers. They trust you. That's why they follow you. And if your followers engage at a specific rate or less, you've told Facebook that it's crappy content. You've done it yourself. Facebook simply has to sit there and watch. They put it into the feed, and out of that 7, yes.
So being it sends to maybe 10 to 15% of your followers, so say it does get a lot of likes all of a sudden immediately, does that mean that it'll send it out to the rest of your friends?
Great question.
Okay.
She was ahead of me in that. That's my next point. That's fantastic. So what happens is that it's called the initial delivery. Your post went out to 10, 15%. And based on that velocity of engagement, Facebook will then provide a secondary delivery to another chunk of your friends, and it needs to be reaffirmed. So we send it out to the first group if it has a benchmark of the velocity of engagement that's successful enough. Let's assume that it was 5% engagement or better. Does anybody know what the generic engagement rate is for anything? It's about 1 to 2%. So if you put out a post, and let's just say, if you probably looked at your feed, you'll see how many people was reached and how many were engaged in it. You'll see, if you look at any one of your posts, I'm going to venture a guess that your posts reach 30 or 50 people. That's a guess.
It said 94 and then 31 engagements on my last post.
That's fantastic. So you've got yourself a 20% reach. So out of your 500, only 90 saw.
Right.
That's what, that even great is 20%. 80% didn't see it.
Right.
So that's a perfect example. That's a great success story. That still leaves 80% of the people didn't see it. So what happens in that initial delivery and secondary delivery, as long as you continue to have high velocity of engagement, they'll continue to deliver it to a larger and larger portion of your follower base. So what you have to do is you have to look at two types of content. There's educational content that you post, and there's personal content that sells houses. We call that about you. 80% of your content should be this educational stuff. 20% is you. Listings, under contract, closed, open houses, anything that's directly about you as a realtor should come after a successful post. What is a successful post? When you have reach and engagement that exceeds what your norm is. And you should be tracking it. You should watch what your posts are. This is your business. Make it a business. Know what you're doing. If you're posting and the average post gets 50 people reach, and let's say 10 of those engage, that's a 20% engagement and a 20% reach, or 10% reach. If you suddenly see a jump in that, that's when you want to put in something about you. Because the way that Facebook works is, with every post that goes out with lousy engagement, you've told them that they should send the next post out to fewer people. No one engaged. Why would we send it out to more people? You have crappy stuff. But if you send something out that gets good engagement, Facebook now on your next post says, hey, their stuff is well recognized. It gets good engagement. We're going to make their next post go out to a larger percentage of their followers. And this is done at a highly algorithmic rate, and I'm kind of simplifying it. But I think you get the gist. Good posts should be followed by stuff about you. I had a closing, I had an open house, I have a house for sale. Because more people are going to see it organically. You don't have to pay for that. That's done organically, just by the nature of what you do. Questions, because this is important. Yes.
Is there a time frame? Like, do you have to, your next post needs to be in a certain window, or is there any reset type mode there? You have to follow it up.
Good question.
48 hours later.
You want to, first of all, we'll get into how often you should post in general. But think about it. If you were Facebook and someone posted something that was successful, when do you think you'd want to send something out? Just without even, pretty soon.
Yeah.
Because what happens, time dissipates results. So the more time between a successful post and your next one is clearly, I want to use the word congruous. There's timeliness to that. So it's a great question, and you want to send it out within 24 hours, preferably sooner rather than later, but not right away. You don't want to put out 2 posts within a couple minutes.
Right.
You'll cannibalize each other.
Right.
So great question. Did everybody understand that? Because that's really important. So video is key. So video is juiced. So if you look at your standard post, we just talked about a standard post generally being 10 to 15% of your reach. Video will be 20 to 25%. So Facebook delivers video into more feeds by default because it gets the most attention. It captures people's attention more than a standard text post, more than a link post, more than an image post. And each of those has a benchmark standard for velocity engagement with Facebook.
Sorry,
So-
that video, it has to be about ourselves or any kind of.
Great question. So when we look across the spectrum of your content in general, 80% of the content should not be about you. You're not here to be a billboard about yourself. You're a billboard about education. You want to educate people, provide valuable content. As a byproduct of that valuable content, the thought is that you have your own customers, and at some point, you'll talk about that. Buyers, sellers, listings, open houses, closed deals, but that should only represent 20%. I'll cover that in a minute, but that's a great question. The videos should be videos in general that are relative either to something fun and entertaining or something educational about the industry, or if you have an open house or a listing, show people, walk around, talk about it. You want to convey that video is a great kind of launching pad for content. Any other questions? A lot of video. Infographics. People are visually stimulated. This goes back to an image with content. Infographic. Information done in a graphical format. That one, I simply went in and typed into Google. I think I did Realtor.com infographic, and they have a myriad of them. I'm sure you could go to Zillow infographics and type that in, and then click on images, and these pop up. This happened to be one that was relevant. You know, biggest home seller mistakes. You want to provide things that people can look at very quickly and get information, because the faster people, we're an immediate society. We want immediate results. So infographics are really important. So videos, top of the food chart. Infographics, images. So now we're going to get back into tricking Facebook. How do we make Facebook think our content is better than it is? We use the things that captures people's attention and gets likes. Dogs. Animals have a huge compelling nature. How many of you love to see dogs? We all do. And how many of you will actually like or comment on a post of one of your friends who has a dog? But we do. So you need to use that logic to create more engagement for your post. So we tell Facebook our content is great. Everything is done to create engagement, because engagement tells Facebook that our content is valuable, so we get it into more of the feeds of our followers for a higher percentage. Does that make sense? So by putting up these are the content sources that generate the most looks, likes, comments, shares, and what we call overall engagement. That is critical. But we're not limited to that. We also want to have funny stuff. You want to be humorous. You want people to share your content. So organic, does everybody know the difference between viral and organic growth on social media? Organic growth is simply when you post it, how many of your friends will see it on Facebook? Viral growth is your friends sharing it to their friends. It's an enormous, I can't even think of the word, where it grows dramatically. That viral sharing is critical. The pets, the funny stuff, that's what gets it. And then, of course, you can have your quotes. People want uplift, positive. Everything you put out there is good, positive, beneficial, educational, valuable, all those adjectives that I can't think of. Questions on this? Does this seem complicated? Am I telling you anything that's rocket science? But how many of you do it? There's the difference. It's not that we are telling you things that suddenly need to be a social media guru. It's simply that once you realize that it's easy for you, you're more likely to do it, because this is things or are things that anyone can. You just need somebody to give you the plan. Yes.
So I've always had this thing with Facebook about, do you have a business? Like, I have a separate business page, and that's always the conflict.
should.
Like, you know, do you post these things on your personal page? I mean, you know, what's gonna drive the most activity, engagement, so to speak? Because, you know, being a realtor, it's part of who we all are, but we don't want to turn people off. That's my thing, you know.
You're exactly right.
Um,
And I would ask you, I think that we all have an internal barometer that's pretty intuitive. We know what we should post. We know what we shouldn't post. Some of us cross the line. If you're going to cross the line, make sure it's on your personal page, not on your business page.
well, I keep all that kind of, you know, I don't
And you
really
should,
put
and
that
that's what
out
most
there,
people do.
period, you know, but, you know, I don't know, that's always been my question. Do I put it on the business page? Because I think there's more engagement on my personal page, obviously.
You should. And you also have to remember there's a couple things. When it comes to business-related content, and we'll get into this when I discuss personal versus business, you cannot boost a personal post.
It has to be from your business. Yeah.
So by default, we have an obligation as realtors. We have an obligation to do everything we can to sell our clients' home. And if all you did was post it on your personal page, you ensure you can never boost that post. And to me, that is a disservice to your customer. This is their biggest financial investment, their retirement. And you're going to only put it on your personal page and hope. Hope is not a strategy. Never has been. Business page, you can boost it, target the right people, and help make sure and convey that you're doing everything you can to sell that house. Yes.
Terrance, what I've done is I've taken something I've posted on my business page and I've shared it back on my personal page.
Sure.
If it's funny or if it's motivational, but it not only is engaging people, but it's letting them know I'm a realtor. So that's
Absolutely.
what I do. So that's okay to do. Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then whether you share the content back and forth or you independently post them on both, that's fine. But you just want to make sure that anything to do with buying and selling a house goes on your personal page, excuse me, on your business page. You cannot boost a personal page. And it's hard for me when I see agents posting a listing on it's not that you can't or shouldn't post it on your personal page, but if you don't have a business page, in my opinion, it's just wrong.
Wouldn't it be better to take it from your business page and share it with your personal page instead of doing it separately so they can see that, oh, this came from Charlotte, you know, Natasha Bennett, the realtor.
It doesn't hurt. It never,
Yeah,
because
so
you
they
got to
can
remember,
see.
most of your friends in your personal page, in your bio, you have where you work.
Right.
So it's going to tell them that you're a realtor, unless you want to hide that and not put that, which is obviously your objective. But I wouldn't recommend it. If you're a realtor, you want people to know. It should be on your business page, of course, it's a business page, and it should be listed as your workplace on your personal page. Questions on that? Good questions. Great.
So I'm sorry.
Sure.
So the video or funny thing, we should put on the business.
Sure. You want to, because remember, in business, doesn't mean that everything in business isn't funny. Hopefully, this is a business environment. I'd like to think I have some semblance of humor. I'm sure I probably don't, but you want this to be comfortable. You want this to be somewhat funny too. When you talk to a buyer or a seller, you're not gonna just sit there and read through the listing agreement. You know, you want it to be comfortable. You want it to be conversational, and that includes humor. You want your business page to reflect who you are. And I don't know that anybody wants to be just business. I don't think you should. And if people find something that's funny, you're more realistic. You're touchable. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. So does this make sense in terms of what to post on the entertainment side? And you notice that's top of the funnel. This is just stuff that you want to put out there. This is not geared to buyers or sellers, or this is anybody. This is just good stuff. Okay. Now we get to the bottom of the funnel. Now you've gotten a client, you've gotten a buyer, you've gotten a seller. Bottom of funnel. I'll stop using these acronyms because I think I lose people. So this is now your listings in your open house. Goes back to the 80-20 rule. 80% of the stuff is about educating your clients or prospective clients. 20% is about you. The most important thing is tell a story. And we're going to go into the do's and don'ts. When people, emotions are what make people buy and sell. Fear is what prevents people from buying. So you have to allay their fears. You want to tell a story. And I say tell a story, but I don't know who this person is, but it's a nice picture. Your photos, good Lord Jesus, please use good photos. I can't understand why someone will promote a home on any social site with a picture that's dark, it's not a good picture, or it's a bad angle, whatever that is. Choose the best picture. Take photos multiple times if you're doing them yourself, so you make sure something is going to come out good. I use a photographer professionally because I think you want to put the best face forward for your clients, but be that as it may. Tell a story, not just a line. Come see my house. I'll show you some of those in a minute. Tell a story. Use your best photos, which I just mentioned. Use video. Because Facebook is going to give your video content greater reach, use video as often as you can. If it's a listing, walk around the house. Do a walkthrough of the house. If it's an open house, talk about it in advance so that when you post it, don't post it during the open house. It's too late. I see that a lot. You've got to post it in advance, a couple hours, maybe even a day before. Yes, give the notice, but make sure the video is done in advance. Because by the time it reaches people, the open house is over. Does that make sense as well? Common sense, but a lot of times we seem to forget to do it. The thing that I am surprised with is the things that you can do to get growth is, I talked about organic is just the posting, and that's Facebook controls. But your friends and your followers are the people who trust you the most. Ask them to share your content. There's not a greater way to have your posts reach more people than to have your friends share it. And if anyone is going to share it, the greatest likelihood of those are your friends and followers. They already know you. Use them. And it's surprising how few realtors in their posts ask people to share their posts. How many of you have seen people ask to share their posts? Very few. No reason. And again, doesn't mean it's going to suddenly happen, but it certainly won't happen, or is more unlikely to happen if you don't. Yes.
But you know what, parents, is just sometimes you just don't like look for me, and I'm not trying to be funny, but sometimes when you do your videos, you just don't like looking at yourself. Right. Once we get to the house and you're looking at yourself and your worst critic is yourself, like, oh,
Sure.
do you see that on my face? And you're thinking in your head, and then, you know, it's just like, I just don't, you know me, you've
Yes.
seen my Facebook. Have you ever seen my face on my Facebook?
No, but that's okay.
Rarely.
But that's okay. Remember, video, there's two sides to the camera. There's what you're showing, and then there's what you can see of yourself. So there's no problem that if all you're showing on a listing is the house. Some people love to show themselves. You know, some are confident. They like the way they look, and they're not as critical.
But
I
is
get
it better to have yourself in the photo?
I don't know that it is. I think I go back to content. It's all about the content. Is the content quality, of value, and something that people would like to see? Some realtors think they're the part of the story, and you know.
But really, I saw there is a friend of mine. She's a realtor, but she put maybe 4 or 5 times, and her face. Every time I open my Facebook, her face is front of me. She's talking. So, oh my God, I think people, they're going to be annoying to see so many times your face. 4 or 5 times. Every time they open, especially if you don't have so many friends and Facebook, it comes there. And I said, and I don't want to tell her. I said, I don't know. I feel like it's annoying to every time you open the Facebook, you see this video, and she's just up to here.
What's her name? Let's go look at her. It goes back to, I call it the internal barometer. We all know what too much is. And that too much is probably different for each person. But if you get to the point where you think you're giving too much of anything, everything in moderation is good. And if the story's about you, you're kind of going over the line. There's no reason why you can't show something without showing yourself. They hear you. You know, I know everybody probably listens to themselves. They don't like their voice. I don't. And then we're critical of each other when we look at our own pictures. So you can take some of that out by just using the camera pointing away. And hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, sure.
About just I'm just out of school, so I'm all about the rules and like.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But what do you have any guidelines of if you are, say you want to do a video of your open house?
Sure.
What is appropriate to show on Facebook and share of people's homes and what's not?
Sure.
Like what are some guidelines to kind of keep you out of trouble?
There's not as much of the things that can get you in trouble more so than you want to showcase the most salient points of the house. So if you were to take a look at that house, and you were to say, what are the 3 things? Because you don't want a video, how long do you want a video to be on Facebook?
At least a minute or less.
3 minutes or under?
3 minutes or under. 2 minutes is kind of that hot spot.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't have something longer, and it doesn't mean that shorter isn't good. 2 minutes is about, but you got to make sure it's all good. Because if it's lousy content, they're not going to get to the 2 minutes. But what's important is you look at that house, you should be thinking, what are the 3 or 4 things that if you were a buyer, curb appeal first of all. What are the things that buyers are looking for? Bathrooms, kitchens, curb appeal, what else?
Outdoor living, maybe.
Outdoor living and master bedroom and master bath. So if you just were to take and go through and do videos of those, what is the curb appeal? Put yourself in the buyer's perspective. And whatever that is, you want to make sure you showcase it, assuming the house has good things in that area. If they're not, you obviously want to showcase the strongest parts of the house. It doesn't have to be long, just highlight it, talk about it. Even if you're standing outside. Great curb appeal. This house has beautiful bathrooms, updated kitchen. You don't have to necessarily show them, but say it. It doesn't have to be complicated. I think we tend to want to make things more complicated than we have to, and I hope even this session is not complicated. It's easy, it's simple, things you can implement very quickly. Question? Great. Okay, ask people to share your stuff big time, and then boost your post. I think one of the things that is to our advantage is that on your business page, when you have a listing, you want to make sure that you boost it. Who are the people that you want to reach when you're boosting a post? I say that, I usually get silence.
Buyers.
Buyers. Who else?
Future clients.
Clients, yeah. Who else? Other realtors.
Oh, I don't know.
You got to remember, there's a lot of listings. You want to reach your listing. You want other realtors to see it. It doesn't mean that they might not see it by doing an MLS search, but what can you do to affect them to see your home? They may have a buyer that's thinking of, hello. So you want to use that. And again, when you target, and that's kind of a different class, it's a little bit more advanced. You want to target realtors. Let them see your listing. I'm not so sure on the buyer side that that's important, but on a listing, you do want to see it. Let them know about it. And then the other thing is the comments. So I went back to what I had said earlier. Facebook, when you comment on something, you probably have seen in your feed, if there's a post that may have hit yesterday, but then someone comments on it and it hits your feed again, and it hits your feed again. So there's a couple things. If someone comments, if anyone comments on a post of yours, you must implicitly respond to that comment. Regardless of what they've said, they could say, oh, that's nice, thank you. They could say, that's ugly. I'm sorry, you have to respond, because what it does is it keeps your post in feed of your prospective followers longer or more times. So first of all, we want to get engagement. Second of all, we want to keep that engagement going. The more comments there are, the more intrigued humanity is to see what people are talking about. And I know that we all have seen there's a post with 30 comments. How many of you have gone in and looked at what the dang comments are? Yeah, of course, we all do that. It's human nature, and you need to use human nature to make your posts more successful. Keep commenting, yes.
Now, is that the same thing as if you just hit like for a reply of their comment? Will that keep you?
No, you want to comment.
Okay.
So that's why the key thing here is join in on the comments. If someone says something, there's a response that comes from you in every instance.
Okay.
And some people have taken it to the extreme where if someone likes it, they'll post, thank you so-and-so for liking my post. A comment allows the post to basically regenerate itself. So I don't know if you want to get to that level. I'm not as necessarily a big proponent of thanking people for a like. It's at your discretion. But if there's a comment, you got to add to it. Got to add to it. Okay. So now how do we create engagement? So all of it, the truth is when you post about, like today I posted about creating a home gym for less than $100. You know, we've just gotten past our New Year's resolutions, and now people have basically said, I'm going to lose weight, and now we're at the point, March, where they stopped. You know, they're no longer doing it. So now what are we going to tell them? Timeliness of our content. Since you quit going to the gym, I'm going to give you a way to create a home gym, dirt cheap, less than $100. That kind of content doesn't necessarily create oodles of engagement. Telling people how often to change their air filtration doesn't create, it just doesn't. You're not going to have people chiming in, oh, this is the greatest thing I ever read. So you want to infiltrate the educational content, which may not by default be engaging, with stuff that is. So how do we create it? You ask questions. This is a simple example. Can you guess where in New York City this clock is? Now, grammatically, you don't end a sentence in a preposition, but that's neither here nor there. You want to get questions out there. You want to create posts that are specifically designed to get people to respond. It's one example. You can think of millions of them. But here are the kind of things that we want to do. Ask questions. The second thing is there's events that are going on. You are a byproduct of your community. You need to showcase that you know your community and you're going to share that. Because prospective buyers, especially that are relocating, they need to know that you understand the community. So you need to talk about upcoming events. You need to ask people where they're going, what they've done. Ask for experience. What's the best sleigh ride at the holidays? What's the best, house of horrors in the area? Ask, and the funny thing is, we as humans want to do two things. We want to be the ones to answer because we want to show that we're really smart. It's an amazing thing. Work with people's human nature. We want to be the one who answers it correctly and looks smart in front of everybody. We want to be the ones that provide the information that the asker is looking for. We want to be helpful. It's human nature. Yes.
I have to give an example. I had eucalyptus mint all through my house. And can y'all guess why? Why?
It makes you feel good. I don't know.
Well, I posted that on there and I said the first 3 people to tell me why I have eucalyptus mint all in my outlets gets a free tiramisu or cream horn or cheesecake or whatever choice from Volani's and, Classic Wood now, not in Concord. Boy, I had people coming in saying boom, boom, boom. And then some were coming at each other saying, guys, quit, arguing with one another like, why are you even, why she's doing this. My wife does this to aggravate me to put these in my names. And then I had one come back and said, thank you, Josh, I enjoyed my cheesecake. So I did what I said I was going to do, but I got so many people involved and going at it. I don't think you saw the post.
I didn't.
Yeah, and they were going at it with it and competing to see who was going to get the first treat. So that does really help to say when you ask a question that people engage, or if you give a reward, they really get involved.
Well, now I want to know what's the answer.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Real
No.
estate agents, when you come home, we're like, as an agent, you work in an ER, you really do. You never not working. And so it's like when I get home and I smell it, I actually have it beside my bed and it puts me to sleep. It just calms me down, because when you're out doing the work, you're on the go. So people were going at it trying to win as fast as they could it was just blast after blast.
And I didn't ask for that, but that actually covers 2 things that we've talked about. One, how do you create engagement? You clearly have done it. And again, the more comments and the more responses, the more powerful that becomes. And the more you're telling Facebook that your next posts are going to go to more people because you've got great content. So you've served kind of 2 purposes. But I think, what's the other? Just drew a quick blank. Oh, we're friends on Facebook, but I never saw that post. So that's another example that don't make the assumption that just because you posted it, your friends have all seen it, which we're going to get to later, how we reach more people with our posts. But thank you for sharing that. Any questions on that? Create engaging content. Ask questions. We also want to ask people in kind of the same vein, what are their favorite things to do? So yours is kind of off that tangent, off of that. You also want to create contests. This is really, really big. So at the holidays, I posted, I did a contest. I live in Skybrook, and I did Light Up Skybrook. So I simply posted within Skybrook, the community page. I said, look, we're going to have a contest. Light up your house, take a picture, send it to me. And then I'm going to post all the pictures that were submitted on Facebook, and then I'll ask the community to like whichever house gets liked the most. You get a $100 Round Rocks gift card, Red Rocks gift card. So the truth is, could you say that it was about me as a realtor? Kind of you could. It was really about the community and creating something fun for the community that built engagement. It told people kind of what I did, and it got everybody involved. And it's amazing how many people partook. This doesn't take any $100, but the benefit from that is golden. And it could have been a $50 gift card. But there's a myriad of contests that you could have like that. Do that. Use these things. They're available to you. And again, anytime there are comments, I go back to it again, you have to join in and continue that conversation. You're a part of the community, you're a part of the conversation. Questions? Okay. What is engagement and why is it important? So engagement really is, it's any action that a viewer takes, clicks, likes, shares, comments, etc. And there's, when you think of engagement, this viral engagement I talked about is best. What is viral engagement?
When your friends share with their friends.
Someone's listening. Excellent. It's you really, everything you're doing is to get people to share your content. Because we already know the universe of your friends and followers. That's defined by the number of followers you have. But the number of friends and followers that your friends and followers have is unlimited. So we want to create engagement that does that. That's your best. Viral engagement is the best. Passive engagement is good. That's your likes, any clicks. It's anything that people do that show engagement, but it doesn't make it viral. And what we look for is total engagement. So there's a lot of details when you get into the metrics revolving around engagement. We call it PE&V, which I think I'm going to take this slide out because it's kind of not needed. But again, just like anything else, when comments are submitted, you want to use them. So now I'm going to get into some best practices. Because we know that the majority of your followers will not see your content, it is imperative that you recycle your best performing posts. I've never seen a realtor who knows what this is or has done it, but it is tantamount to one of the most successful and simple things to do. So what you want to do is you want to look at, let's assume that you posted once a day, and I know not everybody in here posts once a day, but let's assume that you did. You got 6 or 7 posts a week. At the end of the week, you should look at your posts and say, what are the top 2 posts of the week? Now, whatever that level of engagement is, your reach was X, your engagement or clicks was Y. Whatever your average is, you're going to know what's good and what's not. Take the best 2 posts and publish them again. You're recycled. Why would we recycle content? Well, we know that the majority of our followers never saw it to begin with. And we want to make sure that the content we're putting into Facebook generates the best engagement, because the more engagement our posts get, the more we've told Facebook our content is good. And it goes to a larger percentage of our followers. So if you have content that's proven to be successful, your own followers have said, this is your best content, and it only represented a small micro set or subset of your followers, that's what we're going to post again. We're going to talk about when to post it as well. But here's one of the things. So the company that I used to work for is we publish more social content than anyone else in the world, because our clients are the biggest media, news organizations, magazines, newspapers in the world. So any company that you can think of, every radio station in America, NBC, ABC, Fox, CBS, they all used it. The Washington Post, the New York Times, Al Jazeera, the BBC. If you're a company of magnitude in the world, in the media, Social Flow was the product that they used to publish their content. And the reason that's important is we have so much data about what people do, what drives them, that we put out annual benchmark studies. And one of them is specifically about the value of recycling your content. So to give you an example of what that looks like, we use one as a benchmark of an average post. So if you put out your post the first time, the second time you publish that content, your reach would be 1.5x, or a 50% growth. So if your post the first time reached 90 people and it was your top performing post, this applies only to be used in the top posts that you put out. You don't do this on any post. You don't do this on every post. You only do this on your best post. I want to make sure, if you take nothing away from this class, recycle the best post. We got that? So you're going to get a 50% boost the second time you post it. The third time, or the second time you post it, the third time you post it is the second recycle. You'll see it jumps up. This time it's 33%. So there's a law of diminishing return, of course. I generally suggest for the normal people, you want to post it the first time and the second time only. You can get to the third time, but that gets a little more complicated. This is where you're going to get your biggest chance of growth and reaching your feed. So now we're going to kind of take that best practices when we go a step further. What is the best time to post during the day?
11 to 3, 11 to 4.
11 to 3,
10 to 2.
10 to 2. Anyone else? Come on.
Or maybe it's at night, because a lot of people
Everybody's-
before they go to bed.
Imagine that, before they go to bed. So now we got midday, we got nighttime. What do we miss?
Early, very early.
Weekends, early in the morning.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things you want to think about. The majority of time that people look at Facebook is morning, noon, and late. Before they go to work, lunchtime, when they get home from work. And most media companies understand that. So you're going to get huge influx of content into feed at those times. So while that is when most people are looking, you're competing against more content than at any other time. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yes, you want to put it out there, but you're also competing with myriads of other content. What's the breaking news? What's hitting in the morning news? You've got financial data that's hitting, etc. So you want to be very careful. So we're going to start with real quick. If you ever have content that is critical, something happened in the real estate industry, a company closed, whatever that is, it doesn't matter when it gets sent out. You want to be the one to put it out first. You're a reporter. You got the scoop. If you get the scoop, that gives you props. But if it is other than that, we don't ever want to go before 6 a.m. because we could miss it. They never see it. Because in the morning, so much content hits that if you put it out before they saw it, by the time they open up their feed, they'd have to scroll forever to see yours. And you also don't want to post it after 9 p.m. Partly because most people, like you had mentioned, that they will look at content in bed, and if you miss them, then there's so much content that's going to hit their feed when they open up their phone in the morning, you probably will get overlooked. So in a benchmark, 6 a.m. after that, 9 p.m. before that. But in a hotspot, we could look at a number of companies that have done these studies for years. Most of them will say Facebook is 1 to 4, but it's really critical that you look at individual platforms because, as an example, LinkedIn is a business universe. Business people are working all day. They don't have time to look at things. So you'll notice completely different. 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Before work, after work. We look at Pinterest, 2 to 4, 8 to 1. This is heavily dominated by women. Of course, the kids went to bed. When do they have time to look at it? We also have to think of social media in terms of who's viewing it, and it makes common sense. Again, nothing here is kind of shocking. This makes sense when you think about it, but you want to make sure you leverage best practices to do so. So 1 to 4 for Facebook is best. I personally say 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's just me versus a lot. We go again and look at this now. We know when to post. What are the best days to post?
Every day,
Every day,
especially the weekends.
especially weekends. Nobody else taking a guess?
Friday.
Wednesday, Friday? Let's take a look. Weekends are the best, and there's a number of reasons for that. When we look at competition, media companies in particular, God bless you,
Thank you.
media companies dominate the landscape and social media. It's where like 70% of all content is it's some type of media. They minimally staff on the weekends. They have full-time editors, writers, people during the week. So the amount of content they publish on the weekends is much less. So your competition went down dramatically. So if competition is down, the likelihood of your post being seen goes up. You want to leverage that. Weekends are the best. So we did, in part of this annual benchmark study, we looked at and we used to look at about 1 billion engagements in our benchmark study. So a ton of data. So you can see that according to our stuff, and again, this is heavily related to the media companies, radio, TV, newspaper, magazine. The best times to publish are around holidays. Now, obviously, there aren't holidays every week, but that's where you want to be. You want to do it before and after holidays, because people after holidays, they suddenly are busy with their family, now they get back on social media like crazy. But you also look at Sunday and Saturday are by far the best. And then you see some deterioration, at least in media space. I know that when we looked at outside of media, that has changed. Because if you look here, again, Overlow is another company that I've used. They say 1 to 4. They say Saturday and Sunday we get the highest level of engagement. But they also say that the worst day is Tuesday. Interestingly, we would say the worst day, but there's such a marginal difference, 0.96, 0.95, and 293s. Basically, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday sit in the house in kind of that low. We are heavily geared to Saturday and Sunday. So make sure that you should post every day, and we're going to get into that in a minute as well. So how often should we post? It depends on the social platform. Not all are the same. Because there's a couple things you want to take away from social media. To post for the sake of posting is a terrible plan. You only want to post good stuff. If you don't think it's worthwhile, don't post it. Makes sense. If it's dumb, if it's not valuable, don't post it. But if you have good stuff and you happen to have a day when you've got 6 things that need to go out, put 6 out. Make sure they're all good. The key is, it goes back to the amount isn't as important, just like anything else. It's the quality. So if we're on Facebook, minimum once a day, you have to be once a day. I generally try to post 2 or 3 times a day. Because the tough part is if your world history is based on one post and you're putting all or nothing into one post during a day, it's a little bit more risky to just do anything all in one basket. And then different platforms, you can see here what the suggestions are again. So again, Twitter, you have to post more often.
I was just saying, when do you have time to actually sell houses?
Well, yeah,
Just
it's
curious.
interesting because I schedule mine all in the morning.
Okay.
So as soon as I get up, all my social activity for myself and my clients, I do it generally between 7 and 7:30. And Facebook has, when you go to post and publish, there's a drop-down arrow that says back publish, schedule, or publish now. So literally in a 20-minute window, I've done all of my posts for all my clients and myself, and I schedule them throughout the day. So because you can't keep doing this like that.
Right.
You're exactly right. If you don't have a game plan, you don't want to interrupt your day. So it's nice to get things started. And whether you do it in the morning or you do it at night, whenever you do it, you can schedule them out at any time. And there are many tools out there that do it as well. I just use Facebook's.
Do you like cross post? Because I do that like
Yeah, you should.
Facebook or Instagram
Absolutely.
to Facebook, you know.
Well, Facebook and Instagram are owned by the
Yeah.
they're owned together.
Yeah.
So there's actually a button on Facebook that allows
Yeah.
you to automatically publish to Instagram as well. The problem with Instagram is the way it reads isn't the same. So in Facebook, if
I
you've
do
ever-
it opposite. Like I'll start it on Instagram and cross it over to Facebook.
and that's fine. Either way is fine. The difficulty is that Facebook has the ability to click on the link and it goes right to something. Instagram, for the vast majority, you've got to copy the link and then paste it into a browser,
Yeah.
which is, and also the way that you use hashtags on Instagram, on Twitter, and Facebook is different. How many of you use hashtags in your posts? Do you know why you use a hashtag?
You can research it later, right?
You can search.
Yeah.
So if somebody were to type in Charlotte real estate on Facebook, anybody who hashtag Charlotte real estate, their post will come up. So that if you're a realtor and you're in Charlotte or you're in Lake Norman or you're in South Park or you're in Myers, wherever that is, your post should have that in it. You want people searching for real estate to find it. If it's a home improvement, put it in home improvement. What are the germane points of that post that are important? And use hashtags. It's going to ensure that if someone is looking at a later time, there's a chance they would see your post, and that's what you want. So you want to post multiple times, almost across every platform. So now we're going to get into the do's and don'ts. So I hope none of you do the don'ts. I hope all of you do the do's, but we shall see. So in terms of engagement, what's the first thing? Use images, use video. If you're going to choose images, make sure they're good. The value of having visual content versus non-visual increases the likelihood of it being shared by 40 times. And remember, our biggest growth is when people share our content. So if images and video allows a greater likelihood of it being shared, make sure your posts have that. Have a number of different kind of basic pictures of homes that you can use at any time. Don't use just text or just links. And I say this all the time. This is not a compelling post. I covered up the people's names. I'm not here to disparage anyone. But this isn't compelling. It just isn't. And I would hope that if you're going to take the time to do something, do it right. Make it look good. This is a reflection of you. This is a reflection of your brand. So if you put something up that looks lousy, who knows what people will surmise from that. Don't put yourself in that position. Questions on this? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope.
Do's and don'ts. How many of you are familiar with Marketplace? Okay, Facebook, when they came out with the video capabilities, they offered their own ability to use video. They juiced and have juiced video content. They launched Marketplace recently specifically to allow people to sell things. And this is an invaluable tool for realtors. It allows you to put your listing up. Where do you find it? You find it you click your home button, and once you click the home button, you'll see the Marketplace. Once you click on the Marketplace, it's going to pop up a picture. And this is a screenshot I took this morning. 4 of the 8 pictures that are here are homes. Yet most realtors don't even know that it's available. How many of you use Nextdoor? 3. I get on my high horse sometimes because I think that when people are selling their home, it is their biggest financial investment. It's their world in many cases. And we as realtors, we have to do everything. We're obligated to do everything we can. You need to know what tools are available to ensure your homes that you represent for your clients are seen by as many people as possible. If you're not using Nextdoor, if you're not using social media, if you're not using Marketplace, I think you're disservicing your customer big time. And I'll leave it at that. Please be familiar with all the tools that are available to you as a realtor so that you can ensure as many people see a home and can buy or offer on that home as you can. But once you get here to Marketplace, you just go to sell something that says items for sale, and then there's listings, property for sale, and you put your description, price, etc. There's a couple of things that I would say when you go to do this. You want to have this header is what captures people's attention along with the picture. So if you're going to use a picture, I'm not necessarily a fan of using this multi-image because each picture becomes somewhat pixelated, could be a little foggy, and it's smaller. Use one picture that's hitting a home run for you. It reflects that brand, that curb appeal, etc. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Questions on this? Yes.
With the first one up there, coming soon, if you have one that says coming soon, and then once it hits the market, can you go in and just delete that one out and put the actual picture for sale up there, or change the wording to
Great
it?
question. Absolutely.
That's fine.
This is a live post. So you can go in and make changes to it.
Yeah.
So even if you were to drop the price, certainly on MLS you're going to do that and it's going to be showcased. But you want to come in into other places as well. Now you could either come in and put up a new post and put the new price, and not necessarily say that the price is reduced. That's at your discretion. Or you could come in and say price reduced. And then obviously it's going to reflect the new price. Good question. That's a 2-point version. Any other questions? Great. I said to sale something. Okay, here's the other thing. With the do's and don'ts, the objective is obviously to get people to see your posts. Second objective is to get them to take some action. Click on your post. And one of the things that people do most frequently that is really just, it hurts their business, is they'll take a post, and here's an example. Great content, great post, and when you click on this post, it takes you to the page that is posting the content. So you've finally gotten somebody to click on one of your posts. That's the holy grail. You get them to take an action. And when they did, you took them away from you. You took them somewhere else. That's not the way we want to do anything in business. We want to capture them. We want to generate leads. So what you want to do is you want to have that content reside within your KV Core. How many of you do your own blog posts on KV Core? Okay. How many of you even know how to do a blog post on KV Core? All right, open up. I'm going to do this real quick. Open up KV Core. Do you have it all open right now? There's a button in the top. It's a green button. I believe it says Quick Actions. It's in the right center of the top of the screen. You see it? Click on Quick Actions. It's going to bring down a pop-down And at the very bottom, it says blog posts. You see that? I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, it's logging
There's a system issue with KB4. It's anytime you make a change, it logs you out. That's happened the
What?
last couple days. Yeah. Does
I
everybody else have?
I posted a couple things today on my blog post.
You don't have an automatic save where it saves your information and automatically logs you in?
Yeah, let me just take a quick.
We had a demo yesterday going for our team. We're new,
Oh,
and even the instructor's like, something's wrong with KB4.
mine keeps on.
Huh.
Yeah, right.
You change it, and it'll just make us log in again. So
So what you want to do then, if you couldn't, is when you go to the home page, there's a button up top that says quick action.
yeah, I was able to log back in. And
Okay. Then
I
when
got
you
there
pull
again.
on that, it says blog
Yep,
post.
got
And
it.
then when you go to that in the upper right in green, it says add post.
Okay.
So what you want to do is you want to take the content. Let's say you're on
Blog.
whatever is realtor.com. You simply want to copy the content from realtor.com and paste it into yours, giving full accreditation. So you're going to put in there by realtor.com. You're not saying you published it. You're just simply launching it from your page. So that what happens is that when people come in and click on your post, it takes them to your blog page. And since you've not blogged, what happens is on every blog page, you have your story on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, there is the home search capability. So that what you've basically done, let me see if I can, oh, I can't because this, maybe.
Is there a certain place where we have to credit the author?
Yeah,
Yes.
I was wondering that.
So what happens is as soon as you put it in there, so if you were to go to this, it'll say stage your home, and you see here it says by Houseopedia.
Okay.
Immediately, you want to make sure they get immediate accreditation. You're not here to take copyright. You're just simply telling who did it. You're posting it. But what happens is that it allows you to capture everybody in your universe. Because what happens is, and what I would suggest to anyone I coach, is that at the bottom of this post, you type in your own information. Thank you for reading this. If you have any real estate questions, contact me. You have your email address and your phone number. Then you're going to put in there, are you looking at buying a house? Click here to search MLS and have a link to it. Are you looking to sell your house? Click here for a home valuation, a free home valuation. Every single post you put out should bring them back to your page, and it should give people a chance to contact you, and it should give people a chance to get a value on their home or search the MLS. Because if they search the MLS or they get a value on their home, what happens to those people? They become a lead that you know who they are, and you can then follow up with them. And this is about generating leads and selling homes. So this right here is one of the key steps to generating leads for free. Your posts reside within your blog. You don't direct people to the home page that hosted the site. You put it in your content. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, response time, do's and don'ts. Somebody posts something, how quickly should you respond? We have three basic issues that come up. You have people who comment on your post, that could be anything. You have people who ask questions, and then you have people who have complaints. Each of those three have a different client or customer expectation of when you should respond. Which of these three does a customer think should be responded to first? Complaints. What would be next? Questions. And last is comments. So we have two different kind of viewpoints on things, is when a customer thinks you should respond and when we think we should respond. So as an example, the problem is this disparity hurts brands by default. We generally have a slower response time than what clients or customers think we should respond. And if you don't respond in their expectation, you're bad. You're not, whatever term you want to put in there. So make sure that you respond as quickly as you can. Pay attention to your social posts. And if you have a complaint, make sure that you respond in a way that shows compassion, empathy, even if you're wrong, which you probably are, God bless you. You want to say, thank you for bringing it to my attention. We're going to address that right away. I'm private messaging you. As a complainer, you want to get off of the feed as quickly as you can. You don't want them coming back, so you're going to address that in a private message and do so. Everything else, you want to continue the conversation because the more comments, the more interesting it seems to be to the general public. Questions on that? Okay. Okay. One of the things that I find as well in many posts is that you're a realtor, you want to try to generate business, but many times, in fact, most times, you don't have any contact information in the post. You got to do it. So here's a perfect example. Looking for a condo. So we created a multi-property squeeze page. Do we know what squeeze pages are? Landing page, the difference between a landing page and squeeze page. Okay. This is a multi-property squeeze page. You give them a chance to call you. It's amazing how many people don't do that basic stuff. On your business page, you should have a call now button. So again, we want to give people the ability to call us in a post. Facebook is designed to make it so user-friendly to connect a realtor with a prospective buyer or seller. When you post like this, that phone number, when you're looking at what device do we look at the vast majority of social media? Our phones. And you want to make sure that connection is easy. All someone has to do is tap on that on their phone, and they'll dial you. It's so easy, and we don't do it. I don't understand. Just put your phone number in there. You want to give people a chance to reach out to you. Make sure in your homepage, on your business, you have the ability for them to contact you as well. Does this make sense? Yes.
Quick, going back to the blog with an article, do you have to, if you just kind of highlight the link, will it put it in there, like embed it in the blog, or do you need to like copy and paste the whole thing? And
it's a great question.
Picture
so
and everything?
With links, there's metadata behind all that.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do, if you were to take a link and put it into a Facebook post, it reads the metadata and it creates the post for you. And we're going to do that shortly.
Okay.
When you have that in our KV core, unfortunately, the metadata doesn't carry over. It's simply a link. So that if you were to take that link, let's say from a page, copy
it back out,
it would spit it back to the home page. It's
so you
unfortunate.
copy and paste
the
entire
actual you got
thing
it.
with the picture and everything?
Start from the stop, write down.
Okay.
Copy, paste, pop it in,
Got it.
paste it. And then at the bottom, I put in my
Personal.
contact information, and then I add in whoever the source was.
Got it.
Make sure, I don't know how many times I'm going to say this, you get it, put the source in. You don't want anyone to think you're taking content and arbitrarily saying it's yours when it's not. Did that answer your question?
So you think put that in the title
I
section?
beg your pardon?
Put it in the title section?
Now, generally, the way that most content is you have a title, you have
Right.
an image, and then the story starts below the break of the photo. I would generally recommend that the first thing they see under the photo, but before the story, is the byline. By, Realtor.com, by Zillow.com, clear as day. It's the first thing they see when they start to read that article. That answer your question? Good. Testimonials. There's a couple of things. We go through business, and it's amazing how many times we don't ask our clients. We've worked with them, we've bought them a home, we've made them feel great, we've sold their home, hopefully at a price that they're comfortable. Yet we don't ask them for a testimonial. Zillow, HomeLight, all of these places, they evaluate us on our testimonials or our reviews. Make sure that on Facebook, social media, anywhere, that you get those reviews. Now, do you know how to put reviews into KV Core? We got one yes. So you have the ability. Facebook, your clients have to go in and do that. There's this area for you to write a review, and it tells who it is writing it, just based on who logged in. On KV Core, you can create your own. It's a really odd thing. There's a section in Web and IDX, and then you go to your settings, and then you can there's a button for testimonials. You can create your own testimonials. You can put John B. I loved working with Sally. You could create, granted, you don't
Oh my God,
necessarily
I
want
was
to do
going
that.
to ask you. I said, oh, that's Jane. I don't.
But hey, let's face it. Everybody does it, I think, to some extent. There's a little embellishing, but make sure that you ask your clients when you've done a transaction. If they're your buyers or sellers, ask them.
So we can pull it from Zillow, right? We can copy and paste the review from Zillow.
You should absolutely. So you want to give them the link, not only send it to you, but give them the link to put their review on Zillow. Because most people won't know how. So you need to kind of hold their hand.
But you can take the reviews that are in Zillow, copy and paste it into KV
Absolutely,
Core.
100%.
Okay, so you said go through Web and IDX and then go to.
This is how you put it in. It's Web and IDX, and then it should be there should be a settings button, and then there's a thing for testimonials.
There's a button here where you can link your Zillow profile reviews to KB4.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. See, you're educating me.
Where's that at?
Well, I just saw it. Let me so you go to, where was I?
You just had to log out. That's why.
No, yeah. But add testimonials. Yeah, so view edit testimonials,
Yeah.
and then you click on that, and it'll have the
Connect
green.
Zillow reviews. Wow.
Yeah, green
There you
add
go.
Blue
testimonial.
button.
The blue buttons connect Zillow reviews.
Hot diggity dog.
There you go. And the key is that you've got so many places online. You got Realtor.com, you've got Zillow, you've got HomeLight, you got all of these different places that look at these reviews. But it's amazing how many people on their own Facebook page don't have it. So you want to make sure that these all tie together. It's kind of like cross-posting. Very simple. Leverage that. This is the one third party that's telling how great you are. Don't overlook it. Questions on that? Good. What not to post. We talk about the good things to do. What don't we want to do? So here's an example of what we don't want to do. What is there not in this?
Picture,
There's not a picture,
phone number.
no phone number, no contact information. This is germane. Check out my listing. It doesn't tell a story. It doesn't get us engaged. It doesn't give us an image. There's no video. None of the core things that social media is designed to do are in these. So we don't want to do this. We don't want to be seen as this. Do things the right way. You're going to do it, do it right. Here's another example. This is a little different because there's two parts. One is putting in contact information. The other is putting in images or videos. But kind of the third, and maybe the most important, is make sure what you write is comprehensible. What does she say? After hanging in the low to mid 3% for a while, we were thrown into the 4%. I believe what she's saying is interest rates are going up. I'm certainly not an English scholar, but I think that there's always a better way to say it. And review what you're going to say. Double check and double check again. This is your brand. You want things to be concise. You want them to be valuable. You want them to be understandable. You don't want people to, and obviously, not everybody, English is their first language.
Exactly.
But have people look at it and review it. That's why I'll take care of it. And then here's another one. So someone has put their faith in you as a realtor. You're going to run an open house for them. You're trying to draw in customers. And all I say is open house. Where's the story? Is this the best picture of the house? It's not bad. But we certainly want to tell a story. Why would someone want to buy this house? You're competing with a myriad of open houses on any given weekend. How are you going to separate your listing from anybody else's? Again, invest the time. Do things the right way. These are your clients. They trust you implicitly to do the right thing for them. Don't skimp. Take your time. Use social media. Okay, now we're getting into business versus personal. We covered a lot of this already. But you're going to see some of the things here that business pages versus personal pages don't have. It's easy to get people to follow you with a personal page. You can just go to them. You can like their page. They see that you've wanted to join and they can connect with you. It's very easy. With business pages, it isn't easy. And in fact, it's so difficult that Facebook basically makes you boost your posts in order to gain followers. It's very difficult. So a couple things. Personal pages, by default, are private. We generally, for most people, our pages are private, and people have to like your page. Business pages aren't. You can not only promote your business page, but you can boost your posts on the business site. Can't do that with a personal page. And again, it gets back into, I think, your obligation as a realtor. You also have more tools available to you on the business side. So those that use business or use a business page, the analytics and these other tools that are available make business pages much more worthwhile. And more importantly, Facebook technically can shut down a personal page if they deem you're doing business on it. So you have to be real careful. You don't want to be blacklisted by Facebook. It doesn't mean you can't post things on your personal page, but you have to make sure that it's in the appropriate percentage. Business page is professional. It just is. It looks good. It exudes who you are and what you do. It's your brand. The personal is going to be interjected with things that have nothing to do with real estate at all. So you have to be careful. Carry it over. You would ask about cross-posting, but make sure that you have the business page set up, and you all do. And it goes back to the reviews that I had said before. But the other thing here is that when you do SEO, business pages are optimized. So the ranking of business pages and how it could possibly come up in queries. So you want to make sure that you do everything you can to be seen so that your listings and your clients can also be seen. Questions on that? Great. When you create a business page, how many of you have filled out your business page in its entirety? This is critical. First thing you want to do is when you have a business page, you want to tell a story. They have an area called your story. This is optimized. So they're looking at this. They're looking at the keywords in your story versus the keywords to your brand name. Those have to match. You have to have your brand name in your story. Now, most people have the wrong brand name, but we'll get into that shortly. If you have areas of your business page that aren't filled out, that works against you because all of your optimization and things of that are prioritized based on the completion of your business page. So it goes back to if you're gonna do it right, take the time, set it up appropriately, fill out all the places, because your chances of being optimized, seen, and ranked highly are dependent on it. Part of me wants to say, why wouldn't you do it? But it's amazing how many people don't. So in other words, you want to make sure that you have keywords in your story that match your company name. So how are we going to choose a name of our brand? I'm going to ask each of you, raise your hand if your brand is your name and or the firm you work at. Business page, what is your business page called?
My name's Karana, which is a different name, so it's Karana and Company by EXT Realty.
Okay.
Lisa Rouge Homes.
Say that again.
Lisa Rouge Homes.
So name and firm, name. I know
You
yours
taught
already.
me, Charlotte
That's-
Realtor.
Name and last name.
Name and firm.
Okay, I think it's a given. Everybody's
Same.
name and firm. So now I'm going to ask you something. Do you believe in your heart, and I want a true answer, in your heart and soul, do you believe there is anyone in America, that is going to do a Google search for your name?
No,
Well, unless you're a public
I
yourself,
don't know
you're
that.
gonna do it.
The whole thing is, what is it that people do? What are they searching for? What are they looking for? Because that's how they find you. So you have two ways of being found. Match your brand name with what people are looking for, or pay a lot of money for AdWords so that you come up at the top of the rankings. My job is to make it cost-free. How do I get you viewed, seen, leads without paying money? So we need to address how you name your company. So if you're thinking, let's assume that you're in Charlotte and you're looking for real estate. What are the things that people look for? What are they going to type in a search?
Location.
Location. Generally, it's a city. Generally, it's either a region, a city. If I'm moving in from out of state, I'm going to pick a region. Lake Norman real estate, Charlotte real estate, Huntersville real, whatever that happens to be, it's the way people look for things. So you have to be at the other end thinking, okay, how am I going to be seen? Am I going to find John Smith, realtor at EXP? Hell to the no. You're not going to be found. So what we want to do is we want to address it. We want to address it by making sure that it ties back to the brand name. So how does that look like? It has to represent you. Well, here's what we're going to do. The first and second words of your brand are given the most importance by Google. So again, if your first name is John, who is searching by John? Who would ever do that, or any name? We don't search by people's name when we're looking for real estate. We don't, we haven't, and we won't. So if you stick with a brand or your business page that is your business name, your name, you're going to minimize the chance of being seen in a search. So what do we want to do? What are our choices? Lake Norman Real Estate Pro, John Smith, serving Charlotte. What have we covered? We've covered the larger area, Charlotte, somebody looking for Charlotte. We've covered a more targeted area, Lake Norman. We put our name in there because the truth is they're not going to go after our name. They're never going to look for our name because they don't know who we are if they're searching from out of state. And even if they're looking locally, they may have already looked at have their own. So here again, Charlotte real estate agent. Not as good. And you all fall into this category. You don't want to do that. Now, Facebook allows you to make changes to your name, but you're limited to the number of changes you can make over a course of time. So then I can't remember the exact time frame that allow you to change it again. But you have to be very, very careful. So if you're going to change it, think about what it is that people would search for, and then make that your brand. So if you think they're going to look for, I just changed mine to Charlotte Real Estate Pro, and then it's Terrace Grogan. So on Twitter, I already have that. I changed it, and I'm waiting for them to approve it. So I started Team USA Agents, which was Bill Price, Rich Tomasini. I was the Facebook and Twitter page for our entire group because they didn't have Facebook and Twitter when I started with them a year and a half ago. So I created the Facebook and Twitter page for them. I continued that, and now that we have a bigger, Craig and Shelley have, if you probably know, it's Impact Agents USA. So now mine has changed from being the group's Facebook and Twitter to my own personal. But again, good but not as good. Does that make sense? And more than anything, this goes back to the class is not about reinventing the wheel. It's what do people do, how do people search, and how do we make you more prevalent in that effort? More common sense than anything else. Okay, so now we're going to go to some lead gen campaigns. So the first thing is, does everybody know what a seller squeeze page is? Okay, so within KV Core, if you were to go and look at, I believe it's the lead engine. So if you click on your lead engine tab, and I'm going to come around and take a peek. I'm going to have each of you do a campaign. Let's go back here. Sure. That's okay. So you should see landing page. You should say squeeze page or see squeeze page. Do we know what the difference between a landing page and a squeeze page is? A landing page sits atop a squeeze page. A landing page, I probably should show you one, it would probably be easier. A landing page is where people, they believe that they are subscribing to some kind of list. Our KV Core is designed to give a landing page so that people, you can customize it, but they basically you'd say, looking for Lake Norman area real estate, click here to subscribe to our hot list of homes that are just reduced, homes that are just hit the market, whatever that is. So that's a landing page. There's no information on the landing page. It's a front. And then once people click on that, it then takes them to a squeeze page. A squeeze page is basically squeezing them into information about properties. So we can have, so when you look at your page, you should see, go to squeeze page if you would. So click on the button that says squeeze page. It'll say which account, and it should have your name at eXp Realty is the only account that you could have. Click on that. It should, then when you, I'm gonna follow you. When you get there, there's 3 headers. Click on this. So it says start build, yeah, click on your domain. Click on that, now start building. There's 3 options in the upper left that you should see. The first one is multi-property. The second one is single property. Then you see seller squeeze, and then you say market report. We're gonna focus on multi-property. So this is where you're gonna create a post that says, I'm gonna use an example. Looking for a house in Huntersville, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, click here to see what's on the market. And then you're gonna put, and contact me for your private showing. You're gonna put your phone number. So the way that you do that is you're gonna go in, you see where it says search criteria? The first thing is area. You're gonna type in whatever city you want. Huntersville, Cornelius, Davidson, you know, to me it's irrelevant. I'm gonna show you just how to do it. Then once you have the name and you're gonna do listing type. So you're gonna do single family or condo. So far so good? Everybody on the page?
Should put those kind of together.
No, so if all you did was that, you can do Charlotte, that's fine. So you could just start with that. And if that's all you wanted, you'd be good to go. But I generally try to make it a little bit more narrow. So I would put in bedrooms and bathrooms. What do most people want in their house? They generally want either 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths or more. So put that criteria in as well. 4 bedrooms, and then 2.5 bath plus. And then you have a choice. You can leave it at that if you're comfortable in getting more fine-tuned. All you need to do now is in the bottom right corner, you'll see a button that says Generate Link. And it's actually going to generate 2 links. There's a long link and a short link. The long link is for Google and AdWords and things, so you don't need that. But you want to go to the right of the short link, and you see a little, looks like a double. It'll say Copy to Clipboard or Copy Link. Everybody got that? Okay, once that link is copied, I want you to go to your Facebook page.
Some weird support question.
You mean the personal or the professional?
Whichever one you want.
Okay.
I generally go to the business page.
Okay.
So that link contains all of the metadata about the properties, the area that you just created. So whatever you created, if there was price in there, if there were bedrooms, bathrooms, if it was on a golf course, all of these attributes are tied to that link that you just created. So now you're going to go into Facebook, you're going to create a post. And what you're going to do is you're going to paste that link into a post. And all of the metadata is going to be transferred to Facebook. You're going to see it's going to say fetching preview, and then it's going to post.
Should that be your personal or business?
Business. You can do it on your personal, that's fine, but for the sake of argument, we're going to do business.
Okay, it's acting funny.
Pardon?
Mine's acting funny. I haven't been able to get on Facebook since I got it.
That can't help you with that one.
No, I'm saying that it won't let us access. It won't let me access it unless I do it on my phone.
Because you got it right
It
here.
just goes like ding.
Yeah, and then you can type.
Here into your post, right click.
I can't get past, it takes me to this.
First, there you
See?
go. Fetching preview. So what it's doing is it's dragging all of that information from the MLS, and it's now putting it into Facebook.
Copied and pasted that into my
Yes.
creative post.
Every time I try to log on to
And then
Facebook,
I'll
it
just brought this up with pictures.
I log out
These are
and
the
I just
pictures
put
that we
Facebook in and it takes me to that.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're on a creative page. You already have the
Move 'em
page,
around.
because this is going to Facebook business and
So
general,
then you
not to
might
your
do one
page.
on Nashville, and
Do you know what your
250
Facebook page is?
and the next day you might do one in sure, Charlotte.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Which one is
That's
this?
on my
Yeah.
phone. I can get
I haven't
into it on
done
my phone, but I
this yet, but this is what I'm being told.
Because what you want to do is just get the URL that's associated with it. And what is it? Do you know what it's called? It's a great picture. You can do, and you actually could have done it here because you have KB4 on your phone as well.
Yeah.
But be that as it may.
Okay.
We'll address this at the end if that's okay.
Okay.
Were you good to go? You got it?
Yep.
So what you've done is you've now created a multi-page or multi-property squeeze page. So now once you post that, if anyone comes back into the page, and so there's a thing called delayed registration, which we'll get to with single property squeeze pages. But what happens is that when someone goes to a multi-page or multi-property squeeze page, they're allowed to look at one property. After they've looked at the first property, if they want to see a second property, they will have to register. And they can register with either their email address and or their phone number. And there's a setting that you have in there that you can require their phone number or you cannot require their phone number. So they get in with just their email address.
What's a good thing to write as a post here when you put that?
I beg your pardon?
Like, what do you write?
Oh, okay. So that's where you were going to put in. So once you've created the post, here's where you're going to write whatever your criteria was. Looking for a home in wherever it was. I think you did Charlotte and you did a city.
Matthews.
There you go, Matthews. So you'd say, and again, use your own, I'm going to give you the generic, but hot properties available in Matthews. You know, just came on the market in Matthews. Looking for a house in Matthews or a 3-bedroom.
I have the short link there. Does that go after the short link?
You're going to get rid of the short link. So the
Oh, you get rid of
metadata,
it.
yeah,
Get
the
rid of the short
metadata
link.
has already been put in there. That's why
Okay.
you saw when you put in your link, Facebook and the metadata, it says fetching preview. So it's basically transmitting the content that's associated with the link into a post. It's making the post for you.
Okay.
So all you're going to do is create the words that sit in the outline area, which is you're going to tell them that looking for a property in a specific town or city, whatever that is, and then you want to tell them what those parameters are. So looking for a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, home in Matthews, click here for all availability and contact me for your private showing. Because we want to tell them what it is that they're clicking on, no bait and switch. We want to give them an ability to contact us, and we want to give them the link so they can go directly to it. The link is already in there by default once you put it in, and now you're putting in that description. So it's going to say looking for a home, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath home in X. Click here to view all the available properties and contact me for your private showing.
There's the description before you put the link in.
I beg your pardon? No. You put the link in first, because what you have to do is make sure the metadata that's associated with that link creates the post. Facebook will create the post. And when you type in the link, it's going to say fetching preview.
Right.
That's really what they're transmitting the data.
So then what you're typing in is going to be below the link.
You're going to get rid of the link. Once the link's in and the fetched preview appears, you delete the link because the metadata has already been transferred.
And then you type your phone, you put your phone number in there?
Yes. Looking for a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath in Matthews, click here to see all available inventory and contact me for your private showing, phone number. Then you're going to put in your whats. Who is listening?
Phone number.
We already did phone number.
Where
Link
they
it back to your page.
No.
give credit to who?
No. You're just throwing darts. You're going to put in your hashtags, because now this is your chance. If people are searching for that on Facebook, they're going to find your post. So what was your criteria? Hashtag Matthews Real Estate. Hashtag what? What are the other things that we were talking about? Just real estate in general. Hashtag single family homes. Whatever those are, you just put together your criteria. Those should be your hashtags. Single family home. It could be Charlotte real estate.
And is it all one word? Like hashtag Matthews Real Estate would
Yes.
be all one word.
You got it.
Not spaces.
So what you could, in your case, you'd want to have Matthews Real Estate, because you could do just Matthews, you could do just real estate, but generally what people are typing in, the more words that your hashtag contains within their search queue or string is going to increase the likelihood that you come up at the top.
No spaces between
No
real
spaces.
estate or.
And do you have to put a comma between each hashtag or
No, just a space.
A space.
And you'll see it kind of blues itself out when you're typing hashtag and a word, it'll blue itself. And then when you hit a space, it'll white, and then we hit the hashtag
You put
again.
your own name there, like as a hashtag for
You
anything?
can. I haven't done that because they know your name because it's on your business page and they're already there.
I'm sorry. I don't understand the concept of hashtag.
That's okay.
Hashtag.
Just do this. If you do this, you're all set.
No. My
Hashtag
point, when you put the hashtag and people they click on it, where they
So it's the reverse. So if someone comes into Facebook and in the search bar on Facebook, if they were to search Charlotte real estate, they're looking for Charlotte real estate. If you have that hashtag in your post, then when someone clicks search after they've typed in a search query, if your post had that hashtag, then it will come up within the results. Where it comes up in the results is dependent on a lot of other things that I'm not going to get into, but it gives you a chance for your post to be seen by someone looking for something similar. So if you put hashtag golf course, let's say when you were creating this post, you only had golf course homes. You would make sure that you said looking for a 4-bedroom, 3-bath golf course home in Matthews, click here. And you would have hashtag golf course, hashtag Matthews, hashtag real estate, etc. And then if someone is looking for a golf course home, your post would be one of those that comes up in the search results. Does that make sense?
yes. But if they click on my post on the hashtag,
They're already on your post.
okay. It does. I don't
You're
know.
saying that if they were on your post and they click on the hashtag, what
Yes.
happens? They win the lottery. I'm just kidding.
So we do that right under the
I
link.
clearly am not funny. I'm sorry.
We do that right under the link.
You
Okay.
delete
You're
the
going to
link.
delete the link. Once the link is put in there and the preview is fetched, you delete the link because the link is now saved
And you
into the
just
post.
create hashtags.
And now you create the words that you're typing, and once you're done with the words and your contact information, then you put in your hashtags.
Now, is there a way to say this here and then send it over automatically to your personal page?
No.
Yeah.
So what you would do is so now you're going to, so in the publish, you would click publish and you're all set. So now what you could do is one of two things. You can go in and take this and now go into your personal page and do it again.
Mhm.
I generally believe that each post should reside separately.
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you can't share it from one to the other.
Okay.
I just think that you should do it. So
I
you can
can
go into your
copy
personal
this.
page. I beg your pardon?
I can copy this.
You can, but you actually, if you copy this, you won't have the link in there.
Is there a limit to how many hashtags?
Yes, that's a good question. So hashtags are not as prevalent in Facebook. They're much more prevalent in Instagram. They're less prevalent, but more. So in the hashtag realm, Instagram, you could see people may have 10. They just go crazy with hashtags. It's key in Instagram. In Twitter, you'll see it a little less than Instagram, but more than Facebook. So you want to have 2 or 3 in Facebook. You can see 3 to 4 or 5, and then in Twitter and in Instagram, it's like people lose their mind.
So like Charlotte, I can do Charlotte real estate, Charlotte housing, no, Charlotte homes.
And
Hashtag-
I would do one or the other. Either you're going to do Charlotte homes or Charlotte real estate. I wouldn't duplicate basically the same
Can I do one that just says Charlotte?
thing. Yeah, you can. But it goes back to his question. You want to match as many words in your hashtag as to what you think people will put into their search.
Right.
So people could say Charlotte car dealers. You may come up in that and you have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but
So-
Charlotte real estate is different from Charlotte homes though, because some people may click on real estate, then some people may click on homes.
So you're saying Charlotte is the common denominator?
That's what for me.
You certainly could. I would say choose one or the other. And then, because you only get 2 or 3 in Facebook.
Okay.
Not you only get, but you don't want to use more than that.
Okay.
So you have to be very discreet. Yes.
I copied that link over to my personal, but it's not populating like the other one did.
Oh, hold on. That's because you have all these other words in there first.
Charlotte.
So what you want to do is put this in first. Then it fetches the metadata, then you put in the other. The problem is that once you copy this, you lose the ability to that. So you got to start from scratch. So take that out, cut. Oh. So now that's a multi-page. The other thing is, I want to go back to what they call a seller squeeze page. So now what we want to do is we want to create the value. I'm gonna do a real easy. We're gonna get out of KV Core and we're gonna make it really simple. Each of you have your own website. It's your first name and last name .exprealty.com. Go to that site. This is gonna be super easy. This you should do. Listings, people sell their houses between now and June. This is the go time. They put their homes up so that when the school season ends, they're ready to move and move when school is over. So we need to give them the ability to value their home and for you to get a lead from them. So are we all on our individual web pages? Yes. Click on the button that says sell. It should be at the top of your page. It says sell. When you go to it, it should be the home valuation.
It just says free home valuation.
Yep. Oh, see, you guys must be brand new.
They've made some updates in the last.
Yeah, they have, because mine still says just sell. Mine has search sell.
Yeah.
So now you take that URL at the top of the page. You're going to copy that URL. This you should do once a week.
At the very, where you first searched me?
I beg your pardon?
Right up there, you mean that one?
Nope, we got to go to your, see right here, word sell.
Mhm.
Once sell comes up, you're going to copy that. Now you're going to take that and you're going to put that into a post on Facebook.
Back on the business again.
And you're going to create a home valuation for everyone. What you want to do is want to give people, if they're thinking of selling their house, you want to give them the ability to value their house for free. And you want to be the go-to way to do it. You did, I can see it from here, you did that in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
How difficult was that to do? Seriously.
Very difficult.
Mine's not populated.
Did you get it? Okay. All right, I want you to start from scratch. Go to your personal page.
You got it? Got it.
And at the
Well, yeah,
top, you should have
So
headers
did
once
you put
you
it
say,
on Facebook?
Well,
value,
this is-
valuation.
That's what
Oh,
it's
that's
got.
what I
Question
thought.
mark in it, is that right?
That's exactly true, because they don't know what their home is worth.
Oh, okay,
Yes, now up at the top of the page on the right, it says sell, the button says sell.
Social media,
Right.
not,
I know.
not 1940s
I
media.
know.
Now I want you to take the URL at the top of the page and copy it. Got it? So what I just showed you how to do is how to attract buyers, because you've created a universe of
love it.
properties. Cost you nothing to do, and if they click on it, it's going to go into your KV Core if they put in their email address. They may choose not to, in which case you don't get a lead. But this is the way to do it on the buyer side. On the sell side, now anyone who wants, when someone comes into this, they will have to put in their home address. And when they do, our system will automatically give them a price value for their home. It's usually a range. The range is about 20,000. It also gives them a comparative analysis. What are the homes it was benchmarked against? What are they being sold at? How many square feet? Bedrooms, bathrooms. So you're actually giving them a CMA for free. And once they put in their address, KV Core captures that, and KV Core is tied in with cold data. So that what happens is we have the great luxury of not only having this for free, but cold data looks at that address and quickly searches massive amounts of information about that address. Who owns it? What's their Facebook? What's their phone number? What's their email addresses associated? And puts together a profile of that person based on whatever information they have. So you not only give somebody a free tool, but what you're really doing is you're giving yourself a chance to get a seller lead. Yes.
You may have already answered this question, but when you send it out on your professional page, does it reach everyone that has liked the page, or does it do the same thing as your personal page where it reaches only like a 1 or 2%?
Unfortunately, the latter. So what you want to do,
Okay.
so this is how you create those posts. So then you got to boost them. So the first thing is getting you to know what's free. So everything I showed you so far, there's a multiple property squeeze page. Then if you have your own listing, you would input the MLS number for that and do a single property page. Same exact thing, except all you do is put in the MLS number, click generate link, copy the short link, paste it into Facebook. That's a single property. The difference between single property and multiple property is that on a multiple property, when someone clicks on it, clicks on the link that has many properties, they're going to get to see the first property without entering any information. Can't control that, it's defaulted. When they click on the second property, they will then be asked to enter their email address. With a single property squeeze page, you determine whether or not people will see the property and then have to register, or have to register before they see the property. Now, I would love to ask you, you've got a single property page that you've created. Someone sees the post and you have your little description. They click on it to now get more information. Do you want to get that email address now, or do you want to hope that they're going to look at the site and then go look at a second one and you get a registration? That's it. I have that. I'd love to, seriously, which do you think you would want?
You gotta get it immediately.
Yeah, I get people across the board. Some say you want to give them one and hope that you get a second. My feeling is with multi-property, you've got, by default, you're showing them 20, 30, 40 properties. You're probably going to get a second one, so you get a chance. This is all or nothing. You're showing them one property. I can't tell you what to do, but and you're certainly going to turn off people that you're requesting information and they don't want to give it to you right off the bat. I get that. But I think that if you let them see the only property you're showing without giving you information, I think chances dramatically decrease that you'll ever get it. But these are two easy ways. And if you would do me, I'll do 1/3. Do you want to see a single property page?
Yeah. Just a quick question on this,
Yeah, sure.
the free CMA, the market analysis. Do you still put your contact information in there, like call me, or do you try and just direct them to say, hey, it's free? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to be contacted. I just want to click and get a free CMA.
It's a good question. So generally, that CMA that you're giving them, or that price, is a range.
Right.
So the range gives you the ability to write in text that says something along the lines of, this is the key time, sellers now are putting their house up. I'm sure you're putting yours up. Click here for a free valuation. And if you have any questions on what price it was, or to get more specific on your house, let me know how I can help. You want to be and you get the point. You don't want to be in their face.
Yep.
But you want to make sure that if this does ask or bring up questions.
It could be low and it angers them,
and
or
it usually is
high
low.
And motivates them.
It usually is low, because you don't want to err on the side of too high. And at least in my experience, I've probably done 15 of them for people, and theirs is lower than the CMA I've done myself.
So I'm sorry, back to, what do you initially say? Do you want a free home evaluation? What's that little first thing that you say?
Like right now is the time. It says, thinking of putting your house on the market, click here for a free home valuation. And if you have any questions on the pricing, contact me, to answer those questions. And again, use your own touch. Whatever I'm telling you just generically, but you get the gist of it.
Right.
And it could be homes are selling like hotcakes in your area. See what yours is worth. And you want to have, we call it A/B testing. I don't want to get too defined, but you want to have multiple versions of each and see which one generates the most leads, and focus on doing that more often. So maybe the first time it's simply, looking to see what your house is worth, click here for a free valuation. There's been 50 homes have sold in Huntersville in the last month. Click here to see what yours is worth. It's almost endless what you can put, but the basic story that you're telling is the same. You get a free home valuation. And once they do that, you've got a lead. And my job is to make you walk away from here knowing how to get buyer leads and seller leads, and how to retain your customers, and how to generate business from just the educational content that you put on social media. Was this beneficial? Was this a waste of time?
No, it's great.
No, it's
good. Very good.
If you would do me a favor, this is going back to share. We'll have a post on Impact. Do all of you follow the Impact USA page? I'm gonna have a follow-up that says thanks to everybody that came in. If you would be so kind, if you thought it was worthwhile, say so. I'll thank you, because I want to keep the string going, but it would be greatly appreciated. And if any of you have questions, I am here to help anybody at any time. I want you to be successful. And this is a golden opportunity with social media to use to generate leads. You've been paying for Zillow. I hope that you can put that away altogether. I would love for you to save that money, have it for your children, and use the free ways to do it to be much more beneficial. Any other questions? Yes.
Just a quick question on KV Core. It has tutorials for the whole website, right? So if we take the time out and listen to it, we'll master that.
You
It's
absolutely.
like we would Skyslate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And there's a lot of videos on YouTube for individual people who do things I think even better than KV Core does. Anything else?
What
Yes.
was the impact?
I'm sorry.
Where I have to go to
Real estate impact group.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Craig and Shelley,
Because I don't.
their entire group of people, probably now 600 agents, 700 agents, maybe 1,000. There's a page called Impact Group. I have it on my phone. If anybody has it on here, and you want to hear it, it's Impact Group USA Agents.
So that's on Facebook?
Yep, that's on
Oh,
Facebook.
okay.
Is on Facebook
Yep.
or the marketplace?
This is on Facebook.
Regular Facebook.
So right now, there's 400 people on it, 425, but I know they've got 800. It's only half of our group is on it. You should be on it, because that's where they post. So they have open houses. They have a whole bunch of things on here. It's like this class was on it. So people,
Impact Group US.
Impact Group USA
agents.
I just I sent a request in that said who my sponsor was when I
Oh,
joined.
you should be fine.
Okay.
And I can invite you guys probably. It's probably good.
Yeah, I just sent in a request.
Let me see. And I'm gonna invite each one of you. In your name?
Elisa Parks.
E-L.
Here, I think I just found it. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, got it.
There you go.
It's the word.
Join. There you go. See, and if I invite you, because I'm already a member, you don't have to go through that. Did you want to join?
Stephen Cook.
PH or V?
V. No E on Cook.
Okay, is there a middle initial?
L.
That's coming up with no results.
Is that for KV Core or?
This is the
Facebook?
website. This is Facebook. And your name? Sure.
Angela, Angelia. Taylor.
Angelia.
Uh-huh.
It's not in there either. So you're gonna have to go in yourself and join. And then they'll ask a couple questions to make sure you're who you are. And then you should be all set. And then literally this has a lot of great stuff on it. You know, because all of the classes that I do are on here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, it's called Impact.
Impact Group USA Agents.
I just got it.
What's your last name?
Grogan, Grogan. First name is Terrance, Terrence.
Send it a friend request.
Please.